In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at note-taking. How do effective researchers become an expert on a topic? Today, I want to teach you to become an expert on a topic by gathering relevant information from a text and figuring out the main idea and key details. Writers, today we are embarking on a new journey, one that will take us deeper into the subject we want to become experts on. As experts, we gather as much information as we can on one particular topic and know everything there is to know about the topic. We're going to go look at the TrueFlix book, The Civil War. I'm going to read pages 7 and 8 of the chapter Reasons for War. And as I'm reading, I want to be thinking about what is the main idea of this text and what are 3 supporting details. Reasons for war. The United States was broken into 2 separate nations from 1861 to 1865. They battled one another in a civil war. The years leading up to the war were filled with bitter conflict. Much of the southern states' economy depended on growing and exporting cotton, but the South lagged behind in industrial development despite its strengths in agriculture. Instead, it purchased goods from northern states or from Europe. This is a picture that shows cotton growers ship their products out from port cities such as New Orleans, Louisiana. It also says in the mid-1800s, 3/4 of the world's cotton was grown in the southern United States. The strength of the South. Wealthy Southern plantation owners had controlled national politics before the war. The U.S. Congress and the Supreme Court were controlled by men who supported the South's political and economic interest. The Southern economy relied on enslaved Africans to provide labor. Slavery was not allowed in most Northern states. In part, this was because it was largely unnecessary in an economy that was based on manufacturing. Up here it shows a picture that says some Southerners fled to the North because they disagreed with Southern beliefs. By 1860, there were 4 million slaves living in North America. So I'm thinking, what is the main idea and what are 3 supporting details? So I have this box and bullet diagram, and I'm thinking that the main idea is years leading up to the Civil War were bitter between the North and the South because the South relied heavily on African slaves for labor. The supporting details I found in the passage were, much of the South's economy depended on the growing and exporting of cotton. The South was behind on industrial development unlike the North. The North did not rely on slaves for labor, partly because their economy was based on manufacturing. So I took what I read and I thought, what is the main idea of this text? And then I thought of 3 supporting details that supported my main idea. Now it's your turn. I'm going to read the section New Taxes, which is the next part of this chapter. And as I'm doing it, I want you to be thinking about what is the main idea and what are 3 supporting details that I could put into box and bullet format. New taxes. Northern manufacturers found it difficult to compete against less expensive imported goods from Europe in 1828. To help them, Congress placed a tariff or tax on imports. Southerners believed that this pressured Americans to purchase goods from the northern states. They thought European manufacturers might lose money and purchase less cotton from the South. Southerners were angry. They felt that the tariff was only helpful to northern states. Here's a picture that says northern business manufactured a wide variety of goods. The U.S. government lowered the tariff rate in 1832, but many Southerners were not satisfied. South Carolina passed a law to end the tariff in the state. It also threatened to secede from the Union if it were forced to pay the tariff. Other states did not support South Carolina. It was soon forced to give up the fight against the tariff, but its actions planted the seeds of secession in the southern states. The idea of nullification was developed by Vice President John C. Calhoun. John Calhoun published 2 books containing his ideas about government. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think about what was the main idea of this section. And then think of 3 supporting details that support your main idea. So first I want you to think of the main idea, and I want you to go ahead and turn and talk to your partner about the main idea of the section, New Taxes. Now I want you to think of 3 supporting details for new taxes. And here's the other page in case you want to use key details from this page as well. Today, writers, as you go off and explore your nonfiction text, I want you to stop after a chunk of text and think about the main idea and key details for that section. I want you to create it in a box and bullet format in your notes. I want you to jot your findings in your writing journal and be ready to share out with a partner at the end of writing today. Now that you've had a chance to practice the box and bullet format in your notes, I want you to share with your partner the notes you've created using the box and bullet method.